You know, I was talking to a homeowner in Littleton recently, and they said something I hear all the time. I just don't want to give it away. And I completely understand that, especially if you're doing this on your own and you're trying to make sure that that next move actually works. But here's what I'm seeing right now across the Denver metro area. When you put your home on the market, you're making an offer to the market. Here's my house, right? And the way the market responds to that offer is by deciding whether to move forward or whether to move on. When it does move forward, that's when you start to see interest, like showings and eventually an offer to purchase your home. But when that engagement is slower than you expected, or there just aren't as many people coming through as you thought there would be, that can be the first sign that the market isn't seeing the value the way you expected it would. And this is where I see a lot of sellers get tripped up. Because when it comes to pricing, most people start in a place that feels logical. They think about what they need to get out of the home, especially when they're using it to make their next move work. Or they add up what they've put into the home over the years, the updates, the improvements, all the time and money that's gone into the house. They might even think about what a neighbor's home sold for, even if it was a few years ago, or what it would cost to rebuild their home today. And sometimes it's even based on what somebody else thinks it might be worth. And all of that can feel like smart thinking. But none of those things are what the buyer's using to decide whether your home makes sense to them at that price or whether it gets passed over. Because buyers aren't looking at your home in isolation. They're comparing it to everything else that they're seeing. What else is available? What else looks more updated? What else looks like a better value? And that's really what shapes how your home is positioned in today's Denver market. Because yes, you're going to look at recent sales in your neighborhood, what's actually closed, and how your home compares in terms of updates and condition and layout and features. But even with all of that, the question still becomes, how does your home compare to everything else a buyer's looking at right now? Not just one thing, but how it all stacks up against everything else they've seen. And that's where understanding what really drives pricing makes the difference. First, recent sales. Not just any sales, homes that actually make sense to compare. Same general area, similar size, similar style, similar level of updates. Because that's what buyers and their agents are using as a reference point. Second, condition. Not just how your home is staged, but how it's been maintained, how it feels overall. Because buyers are already thinking about what they'll need to do after they move in. And today, they're not looking at just price, they're thinking about what comes after that purchase. Then there's location. And here in the Denver metro area, that can mean a lot of things. How close you are to work, how easy it is to commute, the proximity to the mountains, the lifestyle that your community offers. And even within the same neighborhood, location still matters. Do you back to open space? Are you on a quieter street? Or are you closer to traffic? Those details affect how buyers perceive value, sometimes more than sellers expect. And in today's market, there's one more layer: terms. Things like closing cost concessions, rate buy downs, or even small adjustments that make the numbers work better for the buyer. Because buyers aren't just asking, do I like this home? They're asking, does this work for me financially and practically right now? And this is where things really start to show up. Because when price and position aren't quite aligned, the market responds with not feedback, but with behavior. You'll see it in the activity: fewer showings than expected, longer gaps between them, or sometimes very little interest at all. And this is the part that can feel confusing because the home looks great, it's clean, it shows well, and you're wondering why it's not getting traction. But what's happening behind the scenes is buyers are making quick decisions. They're comparing your home to everything else they've seen. And if something doesn't quite line up, price, condition, perceived value, they don't push through that uncertainty, they just move on. And when that happens early in those first couple of weeks, that's when you start to lose something that's hard to get back: your momentum. Because the strongest activity, the most attention, the most serious buyers, that all happens pretty much right when the home first comes on the market and the marketing starts gaining traction. And if that window passes without strong engagement, now you're adjusting, now you're reacting, you're trying to bring it back. And this is what it really comes down to. Pricing isn't just about choosing a number. It's about aligning your home, its condition, its location, and the way it's presented with what buyers are actually seeing in the market. So that when they walk through your home, it makes sense to them. And when it makes sense, that's when they move forward. So what do you do with all that? The goal isn't to guess the perfect price, and it's not to test the market and see what happens. It's to go into the market already aligned with it. And that starts way before your home ever hits the market. It starts with really understanding what you're actually competing against, not just what's sold, but what's active right now, what buyers are walking through this week, what they're comparing your home to in real time. Because that's the lens they're using. And from there, it's about being honest about where your home fits. Is it one of the most updated options? Does it need some work? Does the location give it an advantage? Or does it need to be priced in a way that accounts for that? Those are the decisions that shape how your home is received. And then it's about positioning it in a way that creates interest early. Because the strongest strategy isn't to start high and adjust later. It's to come in at a level where buyers see the value right away, where they feel like it makes sense. before they start picking it apart. That's what drives showings, that's what creates momentum, and that's what leads to stronger offers. And in today's market, sometimes that also means thinking about terms. What can you do to make the numbers work better for a buyer? Would a rate buy down help? Would a small concession make the difference? Because sometimes it's not about lowering the price. It's about making the overall picture work. And when all of those pieces come together, the price, the condition, the location, the terms, that's when your home just doesn't sit on the market. It moves. And once your home is positioned that way and you do get that offer, the next part of the process matters just as much, because that's where things can either stay on track or start to change. I put together a video that walks through what happens after you go under contract and where the deals can start to shift, especially during inspections. That's the next one you'll want to watch. I'll see you there. Oh, and if we haven't met, I'm Peggy Durstoff, a realtor with Live Denver Suburbs powered by HomeSmart, and I specialize in helping women over 50 make smart housing decisions without pressure and without regret, especially when they're doing it on their own. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.